You have to be brave now, the bravest mouse in the whole world.
Busy! Sis, don't be silly. Now get out of there, quick!
I'll let you go, but you can't scream, okay?
Because I don't need you.
Why do you touch everything?
Because I hate boxing.
Everyone is afraid, Wizzy. If you're not afraid, then you can't be brave.
Welcome to the amusement park!
Náš film je příběhem myší malý holčičky, která je naštvaná trochu na celý svět, protože přišla o svého tatínka. Všem se snaží dokázat, že se ničeho nebojí. Ale to se jí moc nedaří a jednou se jí to nepovede vůbec a dostane se do nebe. Ale v tom nebi potká svýho vlastně největšího kamaráda, se kterým by se nikdy nemohla zkamarádit na zemi. Potká se tam slyšák.
Tyto dva, protože se narodili v té kůži, ve které se narodili, jsou odsouzeni k tomu být přirození nepřátelé, na zemi naprosto nesmiřitelní a neslučitelní. V tom nebi se spolu znovu setkají, ač neradi, a jsou tam jakýmsi způsobem odsouzeni k tomu cestovat spolu fantastickým krajinou zvířecího nebe, zvířecího ráje.
I expected little clouds, wings and gold harps, and what have we got? A goat.
It was, I believe, in 2010 when Denisa Grimmová, a friend from film school, came to me with an idea to adapt a book by Eva Procházková, Even Mice Belong in Heaven, as an animation feature film. The story itself was perfect for maybe 20 minutes short, so we had to develop the story, and it took us 6 years. We wrote 7 versions of the script with 2 scriptwriters, firstly Alice Nellis and then Richard Malatinský, until the story was developed into the form that we actually shot and that the audience will see in the cinemas.
C'est une aventure sur laquelle je suis allé immédiatement parce que quand Vladimir m'a proposé ce projet, Même les souris vont au paradis, j'ai vu les premiers designs, j'ai vu le potentiel de décors, d'animaux, l'énergie qu'il pouvait y avoir à travers cette histoire qui doit toucher les gens, qui doit toucher le jeune public. Cette aventure est aussi une aventure de production, de producteurs, de réalisateurs qui avaient ce premier film en projet, un film ambitieux. Ils avaient besoin de producteurs qui croient en leur vision et qui leur donnent les moyens de réaliser cette vision. Ça n'a pas été évident, ça a pris un certain temps. Vladimir a fait un énorme travail et je m'y suis associé en cours, un énorme travail de développement. Le projet a été identifié dans tous les forums de coproduction.
I have to admit that this project was my very first experience with animation as a producer, so sometimes it was quite challenging to persuade our partners that we are the team that are able to deliver such an ambitious story.
Mně se na tom příběhu hrozně líbí, že to je vlastně o běžných dětských starostech, že třeba téma strach, to samozřejmě zná každý dítě a každý ho prožívá v nějaký jiný velikosti, v nějaký jiný intenzitě, ale každý dítě strach trápí.
Zároveň je to film o hledání nějaký lásky a naplnění. Vlastně se tam strašně líbí, že je tam taková ta pomílenost jako všeobecná, to se netýká jen zvířátek, to se týká hlavně lidí, že vlastně myška celou dobu hledá lásku, kterou už nemůže vlastně zpětně vykřesat, protože vlastně jako hledá svého tatínka, který už není, který umřel. A vlastně celou dobu vedle ní putuje druhé srdce, který vlastně si o tu lásku takřka jako křičí a říká:
Watch out, it's slippery.
Don't touch.
Je tam velký téma třeba předsudek, protože myška žije celý život v tom, že lišky jsou zlí a že se s nima prostě kamarádit nemůže a vždycky to je nepřítel. A přitom díky nebi, kde nikdo nikoho už nežere, tak pozná, že s lišákem mají spoustu společného a že vlastně oba dva mají rádi stejnou zábavu a vnímají spoustu věcí stejně.
The film is truly European co-production. At some point, the production was running in 8 different places all around Europe. The shooting period took more than 40 months. We have built over 80 different film sets and created more than 100 puppet characters. The shooting was running on 11 parallel sets with 7 to 8 animators, which makes it, from the point of view of the organization, but also the budget, the largest stop-motion production ever made in the Czech Republic.
Toute la partie stop motion a été réalisée, tournée à Prague, dans les studios de Barrandov. Et la partie animation s'est répartie entre 3 studios en France, entre Annecy, qui s'est occupé, le studio In The Box, qui s'est occupé d'organiser le pipeline, justement, entre Prague et la France, qui s'occupe également de l'animation 3D et des effets spéciaux. Avec également le studio Amopix qui se situe en Grand Est, à Strasbourg, et enfin le studio à Marseille, en région sud.
Vlastně je to film, který obsahuje neskutečné množství prostředí, neskutečné množství loutek, charakterů, což mně přišlo vždycky jako výzva, jak vlastně vyrobit animovaný svět co nejživější, nejkomplexnější.
I'm really grateful that together with my partners from Le Film du Cygne in France, Animoon in Poland and Cinemart in Slovakia, we managed to put all this together.
Welcome to the amusement park. The time has come. Get rid of fear and any trace of anger. Fun and thrills that never end.
Ten film je primárně zacílený na děti zhruba 6 až 11 let a tím způsobem, aby pro tuto cílovou skupinu byl srozumitelný, je taky vyprávěný. I když ten film začal vznikat jako dětský, tak si myslím, že vzhledem k tomu, o jakých tématech pojednává, byť jsou to vyprávěný poměrně jako dětsky srozumitelným jazykem, tak si myslím, že to není zdaleka film jenom pro děti, že je tam prostě linky a témata, které zaujmou rodiče a dokonce si myslím, že rodiče v mnoha ohledech ten film třeba emocionálně sebere asi víc než ty děti.
We are convinced about strong audience potential of our film, as it tells a story about love, friendship, overcoming fears and prejudice. We believe that children will enjoy our funny animal characters, and we can't wait to show you our film in the cinemas.
Je to úžasný pocit, když po té dlouhé době, když přijdete s nějakým prvotním nápadem něco udělat, někdo první vám uvěří a začne se to tak krásně skládat a ty věci se opravdu tak jako magicky objevujou a skládají a najednou jsou vidět a nevidím je jenom já. Ta moje představa se opravdu jako zhmotňuje a strašně se těším na to, že v kině to uvidíte vy všichni.
Oh, dazzling pink is the new pink. Fabulous. Bravo, huzzah! Mercy, what cleanliness! Those rainbow stripes, I could just die if I hadn't already. Ooh, this is not rat brown. No, no, no. I think you'd better have another splash. Next. Watch out, it's slippery.
Don't touch. Don't touch.
I was trying to help you.
I don't need your help. You think that just because you're bigger, you're better?
Watch out!
Don't interrupt. Truth is, mice are in all respects better than foxes. Mouse instincts are 1,000,000 times more refined than fox instincts. And it's the same thing with brains. If you were a mouse, maybe you'd be okay, but you're not a mouse. Are you deaf? Do not touch me, because I don't need you.
Welcome to the amusement park. The time has come. Get rid of fear and any trace of anger. Fun and thrills that never end. Whitebelly, forget your worries and woe. Come closer. Ta-da! Take good care of it. That's the attraction you have to do. You must complete it to move on through.
Please, sir, please, have you seen my papa by any chance?
Of course I've seen your papa. And what a brave and fearless papa. Ta-da! Take good care of it.
Why a bat? I'm a mouse.
It is up to you to find out what this clue is all about. Welcome to the amusement park! Ta-da!
Hey! What's up with you?
Oh, sorry. Oh boy, I'm scared already.
Well, I'm curious.
It's beautiful here.
Home was still home, though.
But we could never have been together there.
Isn't this great?
Right, hello everyone, welcome at the series of talks, masterclasses organized by the CEEA Animation. My name is Aneta Ozorek, I'm the artistic director of the Kaboom Animation Festival and head of shorts and feature pitch at the CEEA Animation. And with a great pleasure, I'm here to also welcome my guests, Vladimir Lotak and Jan Bubeníček, the producer and director of a unique, fantastic, great project, Even Mice Belong in Heaven. And we are here to actually cover 10 years journey with this project. So I will try really to, and we have only 1 hour. So we will try to really touch a bit of every element of the artistic and the production side of that project. So Vladimir, morning, welcome, and maybe we will start with you. If you can say a bit, something a bit how the whole journey with the mice began.
Good morning, everybody. Hi, Aneta. It's a great pleasure to tell at the CEEA Masterclass something about our film, Even Mice Belong in Heaven. Yeah, just briefly, the project is originally from the Czech Republic, but throughout all the years of development and then production, it became a truly European co-production. So it was a really adventurous journey from out there, and we are very excited that the film is almost finished, and we hope that will be screened in cinemas at some point, hopefully starting next year. So I'm a producer, originated from Prague, Czech Republic. The film was produced primarily by company Fresh Films. This company has had a history as a company producing especially student film festival for like 12 years in Karlovy Vary. But at the time, when I started developing Even Mice Belong in Heaven, I kind of joined this company and I worked through this structure, and helped me the experience of my fellow friends, producers from the company also helped me in the very beginnings. I'm also an owner of a production company called Housebot, which is now mainly developing animation films, also animation series, but I'm also active on the field of documentaries.
So this is like a story from your company perspective, but then of course there's so many other parties on board. And could you tell us a bit how the journey with the co-producers go on? So who joined first? How did and how long the whole process took to actually build up this whole co-production puzzle?
I believe that this journey started in 2014, so 6 years ago, and it was at MIFA in Annecy when we firstly presented our film publicly in the pitch. And it was our French co-producer, Alexandre Charlet from Les Films du Cygne from France, who actually saw our pitch. And yes, we started talking, and it took us several years before all the co-production structure was put together. But it was Alexandre and then the French part, the first partners on board. And then the co-production evolved. For some time, we thought that one of the strongest options for international co-productions would be a German partner, because there's been quite a rich and fruitful tradition in terms of co-producing children and youth content, not only animation but also live action in the 70s and 80s between Czechoslovakia and former Western Germany. So Germany was our first option, and we had for quite a long time, maybe a year and a half, we had a strong partner, or we hoped that we have a strong partner, but in the end it somehow didn't work out. Maybe because of the style, maybe because of the technique, I don't know. But somehow German market didn't respond well to the project, even though we thought that would be an option. So in the end, the co-production structure ended up as a Czech, French, Polish, Slovak co-production.
Right. So you keep it like a strongly rooted in the Central and East Europe with a French co-producer.
I mean, in the end, it seems quite a good decision to make, or kind of a because now thinking back, it's kind of we are kind of used to co-produce among like Central Eastern Europe countries. We are culturally quite close. The price levels are similar, so it's in many senses it's kind of easier and more natural. And then adding one bigger Western partner to it, make a kind of a good balance. I would say that in terms of the funds we put together, but also kind of a artistic producer's influence on the whole thing. I kind of feel that this structure was kind of a right balance to make. So we are quite happy to. So I just wanted to add that of course we were looking for the partners in terms of possibility of financing and also interest in such a film on their markets, but also we were looking for experience, and we are looking for craft. So it was quite specifically then with the French partners together, I was quite persuaded that we want to have a co-producer from Poland because of our common stop motion tradition and craft, and we are specifically looking for studios that can help us with producing puppets, that can help us with all these expertise that is very well developed in Poland. And with Slovakia, well, we are co-producing almost everything together because we are still very close to each other, so it's very natural that many projects are vice versa co-produced by Czechs and Slovaks, because it's how we work together. And it's very natural to do that.
So this is it's like a very impressive, of course, structure, production structure, which you created based on the requirements and the expectations of the production side of the film. But then, of course, Jan, you join the projects, and then you have to respond in an artistic way for this structure created by the producer. So how was it to work with so many partners artistic wise? And of course, we should also say at the beginning that you are co-directing this film. So yeah, it's nice to have you here in the conversation. But of course, there's a second director of the film, Denisa Grimmová, and you work together on that project. So how was it to work with the structure created by the producer artistically?
It was complicated, but not so much. First, I have to say hello because I didn't say it before. So I think the structure was. It's not that the structure was the first. The first was Denisa, who is not a second director, but the first director of the movie, because Even Mice Belong in Heaven is Denisa's idea. Denisa wanted to create this film many years before it started practically, or before the production started. And when we met first on a film, it's more than 10 years ago, more. I think 11, maybe even 12 years, I don't know. More than 10 years ago, Denisa came that she wants to shoot such a film, and then she's looking for a partner for it, because the project is very huge, and because she doesn't want to be only the director, but also the designer of the puppets and of the set. So she knows it's too much work for one person. And I had some experiences with stop motion films. It started in school, in a film school, and then later I was working in the post-production. So Denisa came because she knew that we have to combine the puppets with some post-production, and we started together. And the structure, or the creative structure, or technical structure, was designed from the first moments we were discussing with Vladimir what we will need for this project, because I knew before that it's too big for Czech Republic, but I don't think production wise, like in economical way, it's not my cup of tea. But I knew that here is not enough technology in the Czech Republic, because many years ago, here are huge studios creating stop motion films. There are at least 2, maybe 3, but they came to bankrupt. And for example, in Prague, there are few small studios with 1, maybe 2 cameras, but we knew that we have to prepare some big production. So we started to think about the technical structure or technology. And we found out that we will need to build a brand new studio or something like that, some company with that we have to buy cameras, because first idea was to connect the small studios and work together on one film, but everyone has different cameras, different lamps, different computers, different software, different technological approach. And so we left this idea and we started to think about really big production. And it was a moment when Vladimir started to look for the co-producers, and we had some rough idea that we want to have a big shooting with at least 5, better 10, 15 cameras, that we need lots of post-production. And it's the same with the post-production in Czech Republic. Here are good and big post-production studios, but not everyone is ochotný. Not everyone wants to work on some economically not so good supported projects. So then was a issue for us how to divide the work, how it can work when okay, we need some post-production, we need some co-production with some countries. We know that we have France for French co-production. We know that we have Polish co-production. So we were looking what is unique in these countries, what we can use, or how to say that, what is the best idea. And we knew that in Poland, the stop motion film is much more developed than in the Czech Republic last years, because in Czech Republic, the big studios are not anymore, don't exist, but in Poland are many talented people who can create puppets, who can animate them. There is much more work for stop motion in Poland. So okay, in Poland we can prepare the puppets. It makes sense. And there was only one problem or issue to solve: how to exchange the data or the designs or so on. And the second thing, we knew that by some accident or good accident, in Annecy is a very good post-production studio in the box studio. So we said, okay, we have it. We will do the puppets in Poland, shooting in Czech Republic, and digital post-production in France. And that's all.
Mm-hmm. And how your collaboration with Denisa look like? So you divided tasks, let's say, among yourself, or you, let's say, were responsible for some artistic decision together?
Many things we did together, but from the beginning, Denisa was a leader of the project, because she started to work with Vladimir and with the book, and I came to the project in the beginning, but at the same time I had to do my own film, so I left Mice for a few years, for maybe 3 or 4 years, and when I came back it was I don't know, to 2014, when Mice were going to Annecy, I was helping them with a technical preview or teaser, or how to say that. And I came back. So from this time, it was divided that Denisa is creative, like she made many drawings and paintings and clay models, and I was helping her with digitalizing the clay models, cleaning them, and transferring them to post-production or so on. But for example, the script, we were working on it together. Mm-hmm. Half and half, and working with script writers. Then later I was drawing the storyboard, but after discussions with Denisa, the only reason why I did it was that I had the broken leg, so I had much time. In the meantime, we got married with Denisa, so it's easier maybe in many ways, and of course, in many things, it's a little bit more complicated, because you cannot discuss the things the same way as you do it with some colleague, because you can argue with colleagues and you can send them to hell. You cannot do it in such a constellation. But so then when the script was done and the storyboard was done, Denisa was preparing the puppets, the sets. I was helping her, and with the CGI, with digitalization of it, and with some technical issues, because I maybe was a little bit more experienced with stop motion. And then when we were shooting, we were working together. We were every day we spent a half day both in the studio, and the second half we were changing. One day was Denisa's day, one day was mine. Mm-hmm. But the directing of the animators and the crew was half and half.
Mm-hmm. But you mentioned work like a process of working on the script, and yeah, I was always thinking that actually choosing the existing book is already, let's say, one step forward, because you work with certain text already. But I know that Vladimir, I don't know if it's more like you can maybe tell us a bit about the fact that I think I've read somewhere that you were like trying to get the rights to the book for 2 years. So was it easier to work with a book, or was it like or it made your life as a producer a bit more complex? If you can say something about that.
Well, yeah, this is basically how the story started, because it was Denisa who brought me the book at this 2010. She basically asked me, we were friends from film school from the same year, and she basically came to me asking, could you help me with negotiating just some option rights to the book I would like to adopt. At the time, I had no experience with animation whatsoever. I've never done any short film, anything like that. I was like, okay, I will help you. And then the book's author, Eva Procházková, she's a Czech author, but she emigrated during 80s to Austria and then lived in Germany. And she's represented by a German publishing house. And as most of her works are primarily published in Germany in German. So we started negotiations with a big Mannheim publishing house, and in the end, it took us almost 2 years, and it was really a massive negotiations with lawyers including, and somehow it dragged me into this adventure. So then, when we finally got an option for the book, which in the beginning seemed very, very easy and straightforward, because Mrs. Procházková is a very nice person. She was very keen on having her book adapted into an animation film, and they got along with Denisa very well. It was kind of a struggle with a lot of lawyers and publishing house representatives. So in this sense, it was kind of a hassle in the very beginning, and at some point we thought we won't be able to make it, because it seemed impossible to make a deal with this publishing house. But in the end, it worked out, and we are very happy with that. Talking about this from the producer side, obviously adapting a book brings a certain basis, certain certainty that there's a book that worked well on several markets already. So for every partners you're inviting and offering them to participate on the project, it's certain stability or certain value that's already included, that I can say, hey, this book has this amount of publishing in those countries, and it worked well, and you have the reviews. So it helps a lot, but in our case, it's important to say that the adaptation of the book was quite intense and large, because the book itself, it's a great story, but it would serve as a story for a maybe 20-minute short film. But for the length of the feature film, we had to develop a lot of storylines, and it took us, I think, 7.5 versions of the script during maybe 6 or 7 years before we arrived to the final script that actually we storyboarded and filmed. So, but from my perspective, it's always it was a very good experience to have such a strong basis in the book.
Yeah, thank you. I was like thinking about it, because it's such a rich film on so many levels, on the levels of the numbers of adventures, characters. When I watch it, I was like thinking about the, let's say, amusement park of the details, of elements, of the characters. It's such a rich story. And I was like thinking, because I haven't read the book, of course, how much did you took from the book, and how much did you add, and how much the scriptwriters added to the story, and how they decided about which character to add. And I have a question, because I know that, of course, the script was developed by Denisa and Jan, but then the Ellis and Richard Malatinsky, Ellis Nellis and Richard Malatinsky took it in their hands. So how did the collaboration with the scriptwriters went?
Maybe I can introduce it just technically, then Jan can follow. Alice was there first, and she worked with Denisa on the first step of the adaptation from the book, and they added like major storylines that are not in the book at all. And then Alice worked on 2 versions basically, and then somehow for her her work was done, and then we started work with Richard, who is with him, we developed the story into more details and made the script more convenient for animation, stop motion animation. So then the work was much more collaborative, and we really work in details. Firstly, among Denisa, Jan, and Richard, but also then all the co-producers and their ideas started to come in. So at some point, we were working in a Czech version of the script, but we had an English translation and we had a French translation, and all these versions were kind of being developed a bit of separately. So we had meetings where we had to put together all these ideas and reflections and remarks. At some point, we had a German script editor, which helped us a lot to the story, but it was a really complex and organization-wise quite complex process to work on different levels of script writing in different languages and be able to put everything together in the same time. So I believe that for the authors, it must have been very exhausting at some point to think in different languages and to kind of being not forced but invited to accept so many different points of view on many things in the script. So it was a kind of it was my first experience working in such a broad system. But yeah, I think Jan can help me with this.
Jan, any other thoughts about the script writing process?
So maybe I will say it from different point of view, because of course Vladimir and his organization was really complicated, but we didn't see it. Luckily Vladimir is a very good guy, so he let us work, and these things we hear for the first time, maybe, but we know that. The book, at the beginning was a book. Denisa found it and she liked it very much because she was reading it to small kids, and she thought this is a great opportunity how to explain very complicated issues to the children, because the book is about death. And on the first page, the main character dies and goes to heaven, and in heaven, Wizzy, the mouse, meets her enemy from the earth. So it's a very difficult theme. But the form is a fairy tale. It's for small children. Okay, let's adapt this book. But the book is really tiny, such a tiny book. It has, I don't know, 80 pages, 90 pages. And there's only, but it is the best. And there is a base storyline. There's some mouse and some fox, and they die and they meet in heaven, and they got friends and they continue together to a new life. But for a full-length feature film, you need much more. So we were discussing how should we do that, because the heaven in a book, it's only the amusement park from our film, but we wanted to show more. So we started, or Denisa with Alice started to think about some epic style, like the heaven is a journey. It's not only one place. It's a journey through different places, and we started to think that there's not only the death. There are many issues, and everyone has some impressions from the film. So we were talking about what is the book about, or the film can be about, and we found out it's about the bravery, which is not so much in the book, but a small kid, let's say the small child, in strange and unknown environment, needs to be brave. Okay, let's do it about bravery, about looking for someone. Let's do it about much more about finding the way to each other, because in a book the fox and the mouse meet, and after, I don't know, 5 pages they start to be friends. but it's not normal, and we told ourselves, okay, let's do it about this process, because they are enemies. It's very complicated and difficult to say, okay, you are a fox, and the foxes killed the half of my family, but we will be friends. So we started to work on this storyline, and then Richard came, and Alice made the base of the script, and didn't change since this time. Alice is very much about the intellectual issues in the film and about the dialogues. And then came Richard, and Richard brought the humor to the film, the action scenes which were not there, and some cartoonish style to the movies. That let's say amusing part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, and because you mentioned, like, I think this is one of the most interesting and a part of the movie for me, that you are dealing with a very difficult kids' emotions. You are working with anger, with fear, with sadness, but you did it in such a safe and safe manner. So I'm super curious, because I've also about your collaboration with the therapist, with a specialist who. Did they already work on the level of the script to make this difficult subjects, difficult themes more approachable by the kids and by the families? Or how did you work to create such a safe space of talking about such a difficult subject?
Maybe because in certain point Denisa started to talk to therapists from the very beginning, because she wanted to verify if this topic would be convenient for children. She was trying to solve this question: what I will do if my kid at the age of 3 or 4 start asking, what happens if I die? Will you die? And these questions arise in every family. So as she was kind of opposing, or not opposing, but she wanted to be prepared for such questions. So then, therefore, she found this book a great thing, a great tool, how to maybe not answer the questions, because the book is not religious. We are not like telling any principle that would kind of answer many questions, but it can facilitate and can help to open such discussions in the families. So then also in the level of financing and first steps in financing of this film, we had to face this question from broadcasters, from distributors: oh, the film is about death, so it's going to be sad. It's like, no, not necessarily, because we like the way how the book treats these topics, meaning easily and sometimes even sarcastically. And from us, from Czechs, it's very natural for us. We love black humor, we love irony, we love sarcasm. So but without any fear of it. We need to be really straightforward, and sometimes, and hopefully it's in the film, sometimes hopefully we can even be a little bit mocking about it, like to treat these topics with certain metaphor and maybe in sarcasm and irony. So and on the way, we had issues with that, persuading our partners that it's not a way to be afraid of these topics, but we should face them openly and normally, and try to bring these like agenda on the table without any bad taboo backgrounds on it. And that's when we came to the psychologists and therapists, and we even talked to a professor of children oncology, a legend of children oncology from the Czech Republic, who like did it enormously great work. And we felt really supported by their ideas, that they said it is important to talk about death. It is important to bring up this topic, but not to scare the children out of the topic, because it's natural, it's inevitable, and it needs to be somehow present. So it was kind of one of the steps we did in the very beginning, that we were looking for a support, like a moral but also scientific support for this topic. So then when we came to public broadcasters, we told, yes, we are doing a film about death. Yes, it's a bit maybe ironic. It's even like, it's a comedy in a way. It partly, it can be comedy, and we are not hiding it, and we don't want to hide it. So this is kind of my perspective of how valuable was working with the therapists and psychology experts in the beginning of the story.
Yeah, I think it's a great additional value of that film, that it deals with this like a difficult subject, but in such a light and friendly manner. But of course, what helped as well was definitely the way how the puppets are designed, the whole universe, how safe it is. And can you maybe say now something about, because we talked a lot about the development of the script, but did you develop the visual side of the film parallel to the script, or did you it came later, or did you already use it in the talks with the broadcasters, these little great puppets? And by the way, Jan, do I see the fox behind your back?
It's some, I don't know, version 7, 8 of a fox, but it's not final. Here are many. Oh, maybe I can show you. Denisa was developing the whole characters and environments from the first moment, because she's used to draw, to paint almost every day. So she was drawing from the first moment, and she was creating also puppets. Some of them are almost dead now. This is a very scary.
Oh, I love this character. That's the dog who was so scared in the fear tunnel. Yes.
Yeah, at the end, yes, but at the beginning, this was easy, but she got no eye today. And also, Denisa is used to create puppets, because she attended a school, the puppet school. Oh, yeah. Here is some old version of a fox, because the original idea was that in heaven the animals look differently than on Earth, that there are some kind of ghosts or something like that. But then we got rid of this idea. One reason is that many people said that this is a big mouse and not a fox. And the second one, that more than the most part of the film takes place in heaven, so we didn't want to show only white characters or something like that. So we decided now it will be opposite, or Denisa said it will be opposite, that in heaven the animals will be colorful, very clean, and on Earth they will be much more dirty and I don't know what, gray. So here is some more wheezy, much more developed.
Oh, they look amazing.
And from the same stage, this is a fox. I don't have the final puppets here. There are some in the kitchen, but yeah. So this was working on the designs, especially of these two characters. The mouse was not a big problem. We were very long time looking for the fox, how the fox should look like. Not to be Fantastic Mr. Fox, not to be zootropia. I know zootropia. I don't know.
Yeah, Zootropia. I think that's the title. Yeah.
Zootropia Fox. So. And we were discussing his character because many people said that he, because our fox, it's not a beast. It's a very gentle guy and very quiet guy. He stutters, and some people said no, it won't work. You cannot show the stuttering fox all the film. So we were working and balancing his design
on one thing, on one side, and on the other side, his role in the script, because it developed very much. The Fox developed very much because we didn't want only the stuttering partner not talking. We got the idea that he will be something like a hidden hero. That he doesn't talk, he doesn't look like a hero, but he's a very powerful character, the big heart and so on. Yeah. And with the environments, Denisa started designing it also from the very beginning, and it changed throughout the production. Because at the start of the production, we thought we will do some smaller Czech production, but when we saw the script, it was impossible to shoot a film in a small studio with a few characters, with few sets, and we realized that we need really many characters, many sets, and we started to think about how to manage it, how to pay it. How to produce it. So the puppets are puppets. And then we decided to use CG doubles for the puppets for the big shots. Almost every puppet in a film has its own CG double for the wide shots. And also Denisa started to think about using the real objects from the nature, like some branches or roots that we won't create every leaf and every piece of grass in the workshop, but that we will collect them in the nature or buy the artificial flowers and just combine them in some special way to create some new reality. So.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting thing. By let's say having everything planned so well, was there any place for the spontaneous decisions on the set, or everything was planned from the beginning till the end, and that's it? Or there was a space for the animators to have some kind of let's say freedom of discovering how to play with the puppets and maybe add something by the way how the puppets moved or how they behave on the set.
Mm-hmm. I think that many things were planned, but many of them were improvised because we knew that we have to, for example, build some sets, but Denisa likes improvisation very much. So we were building some, I don't know how to say that, some basis of the whole set. For example, there was the forest of forests. It's a wood, so we designed in CGI some parts of the terrain or where the big trees should stay or something like that. But then in the studio, Denisa created the rest. She had the big boxes of artificial plants and of stones and so on. And before the camera, she was making the style of the scene. And with the animators, we both animated before our own films. So we decided not to use the animation director. We wanted to communicate with the animators directly. And we knew much about what should happen in a film, but not everything. We knew that we want, I don't know, Fox should come from the right and say, I don't know, you are a liar, and no, I'm not, says Wizzy. But the animators are actors, so we wanted to work with them. We liked their ideas, and the animators were really great. Each of them was different. So some animators animated the sensitive sequences or sensitive moments of the films. Some of them are really gag men. So we worked with them. Very often they surprised us. It was a big surprise to see the results. Sometimes good surprise. Sometimes we had to reshoot something.
Right, and okay, when you touch this subject, so is CG helping in those kind of moments? So let's say in the post-production, did you use the CGI to, let's say, cover some kind of disappointing results of during the production?
When we were planning the CG, because there are many CG shots or visual effects, the whole movie has something like 1,300 shots, and more than 1,000 of them was touched by some CG later on. So the most visual effects were planned before, and there was a part of the VFX called production fixes that we knew before it will happen, that something will move what should not move, something will fall, or when the puppets are jumping, we used some external rigs to hold them, and we knew that we will retouch them. So most of the VFX were planned before. Maybe we were a little bit surprised by the amount of the production fixes. That it was the result of our approach that we used many things from the real nature and the artificial flowers, which are not prepared for the animation. So sometimes, for example, through the night, the whole set moves a little, or some things or plants are really living on a set, like sorry, I will find a word, like a moss, for example. We used natural moss, but when you put it in a studio, even if it's sprayed by some fixing sprays, when some water drops on it, the second day you have different also. Yeah, but we didn't use CG to cover some mistakes in the animation. It's not. It was not our case. We used very much CG for. There are two things where we used CG. One was for designing the sets or even the characters, because Denisa made some drawings, and we knew that now the guys in the workshop say, okay, and how big is it, and so on. So we did some simple models of the sets in the computer, where we decided where to split the sets to prepare some space for the animator, for the camera, or the sets were assembled from more parts, so it was planned in the computer before the film, before starting the production. Then we also prepared many characters in a CG, because, for example, there are really many different mice, schoolmates, and the mice in the amusement park and so on. And we knew that production-wise, it will be fine to, for example, use the same body for 2 or more characters and just a different head. And we were combining these things in computer and proving how it works. And also we did some animations before, some models of the puppets, and we were trying how to use it. For example, if we can use the joints for the hands, or if we will use the because the wire hand makes like this, but the hand with the joint works different way. The angle of is sharp, so we were testing it in the computer, and we decided before the shooting that some characters, especially the mice, Wizzy and her friends, will have the hands made of wire to be able to do more cartoonish deformations, like this. Yeah, and then of course there are also many visual effects which were made as a post-production. Most of them are matte paints, because even the sets were for Czech circumstances really huge. Some of them had more than 10 meters in the length. We wanted to make it even bigger and to have some living sky over it and so on. So it was one part was made paints. The second part of CG was the CG characters of the May bugs. They are the policemen or soldier bugs. And because they are flying all the time, we decided to create them in CG. Denisa prepared the clay models, and then a puppet maker made real puppets, and the puppets were scanned into the computer and animated in the computer. And then we used the three-dimensional set extensions mainly for the amusement park, which is huge, and there are so many elements moving. There's a big Ferris wheel and all the swings and so on. So we used the CG 3D matte paints for these parts, and also the CG doubles for the characters in it, because there are shots with more than 100 characters in it. So we animated the puppets in the front of the camera, and all the background characters were animated in the computer.
Yeah, I think that's the richness which I was talking about. It is like 100 characters, the natural elements of the set, the whole set, it all together with the CG. It's all together making like a huge impression. It's a great pleasure to watch. Can you maybe say something about one more element? Who is the person responsible for this great scenes with a great sense of humor? Because there's like this little scenes which makes it so special. You mentioned the flying bugs, but I can also mention like this little. There was also bug who was, I think, fainting, and there's a little doctors coming to save the bug. So who has such a great dark sense of humor that which is so visible in the film?
I think it's a typical Czech style of animation, maybe, because especially this scene with the small bugs, it reminds the films of Břetislav Pojar, our professor from school. He's hanging there on the wall. Maybe you can see him. And it's really typical for Czech films, such as small, maybe stupid, but yeah, and mostly without words. So we didn't think about it like about something special. It's normal for us. For us, much more artificial is to think about, for example, some action scenes which are not normal in the Czech animation. But these small details are normal.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned the action scene, because I was wondering when I was watching some of the scenes, especially in the coal mine, when the mice and fox are like in this train up and down, and it's such a dynamic scene. Did you watch Indiana Jones or any like action films to direct these scenes?
Yeah. Not for the purpose of like a reference for scenes, no. But we like this kind of films, and I worked many years in digital post-production, and we were working on action movies, and there were flying, I don't know, spaceships and explosions, and many of my friends who helped us with post-production of Even Mice Belong in Heaven are from the same environment, so we like some action approach to the films, and we knew that our film is very much about how to say that, very quiet things, about conversations, about emotions, but we wanted to create some sequences which will turn it into normal, to make, how to say that, to forget about the sad things, or about death, about the conflict between fox and mouse, or we wanted to show it in a comical way, and we knew that we have many lines of the dialogues, so we said, okay, now some action. And our co-producers said, yeah, that's too talkative. The film is too talkative. We said, okay, you want it more action? We will do it more action. So let's do some Indiana Jones inside. So especially mine was really designed because we wanted to forget about what happened before, because it's a few minutes after Wizzy dies, so it's very, very sensitive moment and very sad moment, and she is in a new, very strange world, and she meets the fox, and she thinks the fox killed her. So we wanted to, hey, let's make some fun. And the second reason for this sequence was that we needed to put these two characters together in some believable way, because it doesn't work like, oh, I think you killed me, okay, we will travel together. It doesn't work. So we said, okay, let's do something which will be louder than these questions like, should we be together? Should we do something together? Let's force them to do something together. So let's force them with some like danger, because they want to hide from the raccoon who is a guard if they washed in the heavenly bathroom. So we thought out this sequence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it worked. So definitely it was a right decision, and definitely it made the main characters to be closer to the friendship which we observe in the future. So it seems very natural. And Vladimir, because Jan mentioned like that, let's say co-producer were like asking for more action scenes. So how did it work with the collaboration with other partners? So did they have some kind of request or like suggestions? Of course, based on their experience, and how did this co-production side of the pipeline worked?
Of course they did. Of course they did, especially the French side, because they're quite, in the terms of the part of the of the production, they are co-delegated, and they are like they are representing quite a big part of the financial sources of the film, and I think also the cultural difference is bigger than between the Central European countries. So the most talks were with the French side. On the other hand, as we had already for some time a German script consultant on board, we were used to thinking about the film from the broader perspective of international audiences. And for us, it was important from the very beginning to make a film that would appeal to international audiences, not only the audience in the Czech Republic. So we definitely didn't want to lose this universal and very understandable topics that are in the book. So in these terms, everybody was really happy already with the scripts as it was. They really appreciated the topics and the originality of the story. But in the same time, of course, there were big discussions, especially on the level of, let's say, level of getting into the depth of some difficult topics. I found that there were some ways how to limit maybe this kind of these parts of the story that they wanted to maybe to not to be so straightforward in certain things, that where we had to insist on having these things to be explained and touched very openly and without any prejudices. This was like one part of the discussions, and then. In the beginnings also it was not only the story itself, but also all the artistic part and creative part, visual part. We had to stand up for the idea that we want to make a stop motion film. it might sound a little bit strange nowadays when their stop motion is like back in the war game again, and there are big productions. There are Netflix are producing stop motion films, but it was back in 2012 or 13, and at those days we were really questioned: are you sure you want to make a film in stop motion with puppets? Can puppets possibly express such complicated and complex things? They can, would it be funny enough? Would it be emotional enough? Maybe, and we had to face these ideas, and luckily we didn't like stray from this path. We didn't go through the CG made film, because that would definitely be also an interesting adventure, but in the means of the budget and our possibilities, we would never be able to make an internationally competitive film in CGI. So this was kind of also part of the discussions with our partners and co-producers, not only the story, but also the technical aspects of the whole production. So yes, these talks were held from the very beginning in terms of the story, in terms of the visual, in terms of the target group as well. If we want to go, some partners, especially from France, they felt that the story is much younger than we did. So also this is a very important decision: who is your film for? And while we saw it much more, let's say, family entertainment thing. So hopefully we were right. The film is also like watchable for even older audiences, because it's bringing up a lot of different stories. But yes, it's very, the perspective is very culturally driven, and something which is being considered very okay for a family watching could be considered totally preschool design looking. So every cultural environment has different perspective. So you have to, in working on co-production, you have to also think of these small cultural things. Mm-hmm. Of course, the easiest would be do it on your own, according your ideas and all in your studio. But the reality of producing films in Europe, it's if the most of the features have to be co-produced, and then you need to be prepared to answer these questions and to collaborate and make even some compromises with your partners that have sometimes, it's not about right or wrong, it's really about cultural perspective on things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I see that the target audience of the film is actually trying to join our conversation now. So it's really nice to meet another participant of our talk, Jan. Very nice. But if the reality knocks to our screens, then I think probably that's also the sign that we have to maybe slowly get closer to the end of our talk. So from the long list of the questions which I had prepared, it's like we didn't even touch the little piece of it. I bet that we all together can talk about it much longer. I'm just thinking, like, at the end, what would be the most interesting question? Maybe how do you feel? It's like it was such a long journey. You started with talking with the author of the book. You developed the script. You went through all the pre-production process, productions, post-production. You have your own sales agent now. So how is it to send this love child into the world now? How do you feel at this moment of working with that project? Maybe Jan, how do you feel?
I think it's the same like with the real child, because we are proud of it, we like it, but we are really curious and really nervous how it will be accepted by the audience. And the way to the audience will be a little bit longer because of nowadays complications in the world with the corona crisis. So we are really nervous what will happen when our film will appear in the cinemas, and also if the cinemas will exist in the moment when corona will stop. But yeah, we are nervous.
Yeah, Vladimir.
Well, from my point of view, it's at some point working on this project as a producer, I feel that still a big part of my work still hasn't been done. Yes, we produced the film. Yes, we financed the film. Yes, we made it. But now we have to sell it. Now we have to use it. Now we have to get it to the audiences. And I think it's, if it's not 1/3, it's definitely, it might be a half. So a lot of things a lot of tasks, a lot of things to be done. And on this international level, it's really my first time doing such things. So I'm really curious what this will bring up. We are happy that we have an experienced sales agent from the French company Charade, which we will work hopefully closely on some markets and on some through some festival strategy. And yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it. But yes, I'm nervous as well. And this is, yeah, it's like another chapter of the story starts, and there'll be definitely a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. From my perspective, because I had the pleasure to watch your film, I can only congratulate you, because I really enjoy every second. I was like really amazed, like a kid. Maybe I'm not such a representative type of audience, because I'm an animation fan, of course, and I'm an adult. But I really hope that the kids and the families who are gonna join the screenings in the cinemas all over the world, they'll be as happy with this screening as I was. So yeah, so I think this is the last thing which I can say at the end is just good luck with this last chapter of working with this project, and I can't wait to take my friends, families, and their kids to the cinemas. Thank you so much for joining us for this talk.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks.